Hello, fellow swivel heads. This is Greg Allison, Green Greg's, coming to you on the the 19th day of October 2020. Coming to you late at night here to talk to you about something that a lot of people just don't quite get. The real key for just why is it that China really wants Taiwan so bad? And the fact that they want it so bad makes it even more unsettling. I'm going to put a case before you. I'm going to show you something that is maybe just will knock your socks off. The whole reason that China, and when I say China, I'm talking about the People's Republic of China. Bear in mind that China, what we call China typically, is the People's Republic of China. There are two Chinas, and the Republic of China, which is the older of the republics and is the true republic, democratic government. That's where we call Taiwan today. Taiwan is also the Republic of China, and both peoples are Chinese. Now, some people are under the belief that Taiwan is a breakaway province, the story told by the PRC, which they've never been a province of China's PRC. They're their own China. They're a good people in any and every country, of every race, creed, religion, color, shape, form, and fashion. Good people, smart people, hardworking people. But it's usually the leaderships of countries that get us into so much trouble because of their desires and aims and ambitions, and the fact that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And you have corruption of power in all systems, especially when you have like a one-party system, or when the parties collude a little bit too much. So, my friends, we're going to get into this, and I'm going to tell you the reason that China, the People's Republic of China, is really angling for the Republic of China, Taiwan, the island we've also called and known as Formosa. Before we get to that, I got something to show you. I got a great thing here that will lift your spirits because I want to lift something up real fast. Whee! See that? That's easy. It's lightweight. This is a 2-week supply of food that will last 25 years. 2 weeks, 2 weeks worth in here. And you can get a month's worth of this, 2 of these buckets, for $100 off on my channel right now. $100 off of this stuff right here. And look at these scrumptious meals on there, 2,000 calories a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You get it and you'll be a winner. There's desserts. And guess what? This is very lightweight. A kid can carry this around easily. Now, I just saw a commercial from another supplier of food, long-term food storage, in which a woman is having a tough time scooting across the threshold. She's all saying, "Oh, we just got this in the mail." And the commercial, this woman is scooting across the threshold, barely get it across. My friends, this stuff is easy to carry because it comes in nice buckets with a carrying handle. And guess what? You can throw this in your car, your boat, in your canoe, plenty to eat for you. And then you can use this bucket later. This is the kind of bucket you'd want to carry in a canoe to put your clothes in and other things, because it don't occupy so much space. And you can still stack these up and have as much food as you would have with the other products. But if you want to bug out, boom, that makes it a whole lot easier. That you can bug out with what's typically your bug-in supplies. You can pop it open and put some of them in your backpack and go for a hike. That is something I think you and your family would definitely like. $100 off. Go to prepwithgreg.com to get that special. Right now, $100 off. You can also get the single bucket, the 2-week supply for a good discount too. And click on the logo, My Patriot Supply, and you can get all kinds of other survival gear, which you're going to need, especially when I get done talking what you're about to hear. Let's move on to it. Let's talk about this. The reason, let me just share with you guys Google Earth. Bang, here we are, guys. Here we are. Here is China, the Chinas, the two Chinas. 24 million people here, 1.4 billion people here. This is the People's Republic of China, along with the captured, invaded land of Tibet, Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, where most of the Mongolians live. You don't hear much about that, do you, in Western media? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is the island of Formosa, also known as Taiwan. Sometimes the government is called Taiwan. It is also known as the Republic of China. Now, you guys may have heard, and I've talked about it on this channel, and it's been talked about on many other channels. China somehow got it in their mind that all this ocean in here belonged to them, right up to almost the shores of all these other countries, that somehow all this was theirs, and a total aberration of longstanding naval and maritime tradition and treaties, and aberration of the Law of the Sea Treaty, which China itself signed, and an aberration of the court ruling in The Hague, where the Philippines sued against their encroachment on one of these islands, and the courts ruled in favor of the Philippines. Now, Durante here in the Philippines, he's been a little wishy-washy about going against China. I think he's starting to get a little backbone again, because the people of the Philippines are not happy with him over this. And I think his future is in peril, because he's been a little bit too given in to the People's Republic of China. Maybe he got some little payola under the table, or some guarantee of something down the road if China's so off to do with all these little island countries here in the Pacific that they're cutting all kind of deals with. Okay, hope I don't make you dizzy spinning the earth around. You know, the earth does spin. For those of you that think it's all on a platter, well, hey, something's spinning. Whether you think it's on a platter, flat, or whether, for this discussion, it don't matter, because here's what the deal is. China is building up a line of defense. When they took these islands, atolls, they claimed they're going to use them for oil exploration. Next thing you know, they're clearing the decks and putting in airfields and missile batteries and aircraft hangars. They militarized them. They made them unsinkable. They've taken atolls here, some of them totally underwater, dredged coral and everything else out of the ocean, environmental destruction, built these up into unsinkable aircraft carriers all around their 9-dash line, and through here they've got these islands that they have built up. So what they've done is they've created an outer level of defense through here, an outer layer of defense. And it's also right in the middle of where 1/3 of the world's trade travels. 1/3 of the world's trade goes through these straits, you know, especially in right here and all through here. 1/3 of the world's trade comes right through here. And that makes this a very vital lane. It's also rich in oil, natural resources, natural gas, and fish. And God knows China is fishing all over the oceans of the world and getting in trouble, even over here in the Galapagos Islands, way off over here with Ecuador, and they're getting in trouble with Argentina and all these countries over here for their fishing fleets are going right into their sovereign waters and territories. And fishing. But not only that, there's a lot more to this. So China is building, so Greg, okay, so they got the trade routes. It's more than just the trade routes. Here's why it matters. Taiwan is the chink in China's armor, one of the chinks. It's a big chink. Look how big the island is, how close it is to China. China is trying to create an outer sphere of defense. And they're even in contesting these islands right here, the Shinaku Islands, with Japan. Japan chartered these islands, and no one had inhabited them. They chartered them and have had them since the 1800s. We occupied them after the WW2, and we turned them back over to Japan administratively in 1972. And by the way, our mutual defense treaty with Japan says we will defend these islands, and Japan goes to war on these islands. We're on the side of Japan. It so happens also the Republic of China has some claim on these islands too. But I imagine they're not going to be pressing it the way these guys are, because these guys have went into here to run off Japanese fishing vessels in these islands that are administered by Japan. Yes, the People's Republic of China went in and ran. That's a whole other story I can get into later. But what China is trying to do is create a first perimeter of island defense offshore, as far away from mainland as possible. And there's a reason for that. And let me show you why. Think about our campaign, the desert wars we've fought against the nation of Iraq right here. This is Iraq. You may require, we flew things called sorties. We had our aircraft flying into Iraq, first taking out their air defense systems and their radars, and then their communication system, their control system. But we started with the air defense systems, by the way. And air defense radars are the #1 target when you go in after somebody. But we were able to fly in from Riyadh and Later Kuwait, we had bases in Jordan, Israel. We were flying in from all around here. And of course we had aircraft carriers down right here, right up against Iraq. We were right here with aircraft carriers, probably who we had some over here. So we were even over here. We had this area surrounded really close. We're close in support. And we were coming in from Turkey. At the end of the day, we were a little friendlier with Turkey. We've got bases, the United States has bases in Turkey. So we were coming in from everywhere, hitting these guys, except from, of course, Iran. We didn't come in from there, but we had short order flights and we could fly them quick and turn them around and fly them again and again and again and again. We flew a large number of sorties into Iraq to soften things up for the ground troops that would follow. So basically, the air assault paved the way, and it also made it easier to conduct a military assault on the ground. So that's the way we've been fighting wars, is through lots of sorties, and that's not the only place we've done that. That's just been our modus operandi. Well, China's got covered here by the Himalayan mountains, all of Tibet and Xinjiang back here, where the Uyghurs live. You know, this is Uyghur country here. This whole area here is Uyghurs. This whole area here is Tibet. This is Inner Mongolia. This really ought to be the People's Republic of China right here. Maybe a little bit up in here in Manchuria. That's another story, right? So what they're trying to do is create a huge buffer zone all around their main area here. And what that buys them is this. It makes it harder for you to fly your sorties in. It makes them harder for you to strike with your missile systems. Your missile systems will be in flight longer, which makes it easier, or your aircraft. It'll make it easier for them to target them and take them down with all the air missiles they have, the surface-to-air missiles, the SAMs that they have. They can take down a lot of our assets that way on the way in. They may be developing their own missile defense. They have hypersonic missiles. So they're able to take out a lot more of our systems. Plus, by staging out these islands, they're in a far better position to attack outward. And this would be the second line of defense. There's a lot of people thinking they will be trying to take some of this stuff later, including these islands, even if, but they, that's going to be getting into it with Japan if they do that. The United States has, of course, Guam and the Marina Islands over here. So the farther they extend out here, the easier it is for them to strike these islands. And they've already developed their DF-17 and 21, the 21 and 26 missiles that they're using for what they call aircraft killers, aircraft sinkers, and Guam hitters. So they've already flown, done simulations showing them attacking what looks like Guam down here. So that might be part of their second island plan down the road, but they're not. Maybe the best thing we could do for Guam is just make them a U.S. state. There are U.S. territory. They are U.S. citizens. Guam is U.S. territory, and a lot of people just think of it as military base. No, there's people live there. There's American citizens that live in Guam, and maybe they should be a state. If we're going to make Washington D.C. a state, make Guam a state. If we're going to make Puerto Rico a state, make Guam a state. You should make Guam a state anyway. There are people in Taiwan. There's a political party in Taiwan pushing for Taiwan, the Republic of China, to become a state of the United States. That would probably ruffle some feathers over here in Beijing, right? So, but if you look how close Taiwan. I say Taiwan because that's what it says here. I want to say Formosa. I wonder if I scroll in close enough, it'll say Formosa. Nah. This is Taiwan, Formosa, the Republic of China. Big landmass right here, right next to the continent of Asia, right across the Strait of Taiwan. This is their weak point. You might remember the old stories of the knights in shining armor attacking and trying to slay the dragon. They usually would always find a hole, a chink in the scales of the dragon, and through it they would throw their lance, their spear, shoot their arrow, or plunge their sword, saber, whatever you wanted to call it. So that's how they'd always take out the dragon. Usually, is they would find where that one big scale piece was missed. Of course, in combat, people would look for chink in the armor of the enemy back in medieval days, right? So that's an old expression. but it bears meaning here because this is a big landmass next to the People's Republic of China. They would love to have this as a base from which to operate to conduct whatever they wanted to out through here to these islands, to South Korea, to Japan, to U.S. forces located in all these places and beyond. Of course, but how do they do that if this territory is not friendly to them? See, that's it. It's really a military strategic consideration more than anything. Yeah, they've got their ego, their pride. Oh, it was our place. It's our people. It belongs to us. It's really traditionally ours. It should be ours. It's always been part of China, so it should be ours. And there's this whole thing I talked about in a bit in some of my previous videos. It's the obsession with possession, which occurs to a lot of people. People think that different peoples belong to them. That people that do not want to be part of you still belong to you for any reason you can concoct. You know, I even made a video about it where I was, you know, a little satirical. I was saying, "My precious, you belong to me." You know, yeah, that sounds crazy, but that's just what it is. It's crazy. It's obsession. And just from the obsession standpoint, it shouldn't fight. But there is more to this than obsession. It is the military aspect of what it is. Now, the fact that they're pondering, that there's maybe pondering this as a military aspect is underscored by the fact they're actually executing that all through here. The fact that China sees it necessary to build a line of fortifications and try to chink up all the armor suggests they may have greater plans. Because I'll be honest, nobody would mess with China otherwise. China has got too many people for us to go in and invade. We might can contain them. We might could bottle them up. We might could in some way, if we want a conventional warfare with them, it would be just a containment, kind of like we contained Russia. So the Warsaw Pact back in the Cold War, without fighting a hot war, it would be an exercise of containment. We might deny them the ocean, but we would not be able to put boots on the ground for anything other than special operations. We cannot possess China today, at least not the way they are tomorrow. You know, Britain did it way back when, but Britain weakened the country first through opium and drugs and fought wars, of course, with China to keep them on the drugs so they continue to dominate them. Dang, that sounds familiar, don't it? Huh, interesting. Anyway, I digress. So, you know, what did Mao's tongue do? He killed all the druggies. Yeah, well, he is. Yeah, I gotta watch what I'm saying here with words. Yikes. Can't use the K word. So I gotta be careful, especially for putting numbers on it. You can't use it in context with the ism that starts with I'm terrified in different words. Try not to say a lot of keywords on here, the platform that don't like it. So they claim their advertisers aren't happy when you talk about such things. Anyway, this is a place they will love to have as a major base, as a major launching base. And they do not want it unfriendly to them in the future. They want this to be part of their ironclad line of fortifications, their first island chain of defense. And yeah, they're going to be wanting to take these islands too, in some fashion. But taking of Taiwan and taking of these islands all could lead to direct warfare between the United States and China. We are obligated by treaty to defend these. With Taiwan, it's a little different matter. With Taiwan, we have this kind of clause that, oh yeah, it's ambiguous. There's ambiguity. It's an ambiguity clause. You know, we might defend them, we might do it, but we won't say what we will, but we might do it. We don't do that with any other allies. This is a democratic republic here. People that love freedom, that have really worked with us a lot of things for decades, and we recognize them as China in the UN. And this is the China that we dealt with directly, not this one, until 1972, when Nixon decided that getting these guys on our side would be good leverage against these guys up here, the Russia. We were looking for a bigger ally and a global game against Russia at the time. And it kind of sort of paid off. I remember the comic strips when I was a kid showing Nixon leading a dragon on a tether, a little dragon. Well, the dragon grew up. It's just a big red dragon from the book of Revelations. Red communism. Ah, my friends, think about it. What is it? What are they? What are they becoming? So, yeah, 10 nations. I don't know. You can probably find 10 nations here with what they got and what they're going to get. By the way, they're really, North Korea is in their sphere. Mongolia is essentially in their sphere. Nepal is falling into their sphere. And they're taking territory from Nepal. Nepal currently isn't contesting it. But then again, maybe it's because their president's paid off. I don't know. There's some allegations. Nepal used to side more with India. India and China are getting at loggerheads quite a bit right now, as you might know. So, my friends, this is it. It is a military consideration. It is military strategy. And that is why they will want to take Taiwan. The fact that they are exercising that kind of strategy is very, very unnerving. It says they have great goals of expansion. Like I said, we're not going. The whole reason I was saying that we wouldn't invade China is that they really shouldn't have anything to fear. We are a nation that's somewhat in decline. They've been on the ascent. Why would they fear and feel compelled to have a need for defense like that on that order, unless they're planning to be offensive? So if you want to go offensive, the best offense is a good defense. They're shoring up their defenses. They're playing long term. The the Belt and Roads Initiative is just a piece of that. It's their way of getting other countries to pay for their invasion. I did a video called The Global Gulag, and I talked about that. I've talked about that in other videos of how they have it. They're showing all the signs for grand expansionism. And the way they're treating their own people should really unnerve you. This is not an expansion you want to see. When you look at it, they still have to negotiate and deal with other countries. So at some level, they're still trying to maintain some order of world approval. And for that reason, that kind of inhibits what they will do with the Uyghurs, with the Tibetans. But they got open air prison. The whole Xinjiang is open air prison basically, and they've got actual containments, what they call education centers, actual concentration camps of 3 million Uyghurs. They're starting to build them in Tibet. They're telling people in Inner Mongolia, not Mongolia up here, Inner Mongolia here, where most of the Mongolians live inside the People's Republic of China, that these people can't teach their own language to their kids in schools. They can't teach their own culture. And of course, these guys decided that and told France that they shouldn't have use the word Genghis Khan or Mongolians in their Genghis Khan exhibition that they're putting together. Really? Of course, they feel like they can tell anybody and everybody everything. They're bullying people. They're bullying Hollywood. They're buying influence all over the world, and they use it to bully their way and change the narrative and the story of what they're trying to do. And they're doing this across these islands. A lot of these little island nations down here get a vote in the UN, even though they're tiny little country. And these guys are going in and buying off their leaders as part of their Belts and Roads Initiative and other initiatives, and getting big swaths of votes in the United Nations. And even though they wouldn't obey the United Nations when it comes to things like the Law of the Sea Treaty, they know that the West will obey the United Nations. So they're playing it against us. We're being played. And they've got a big long-term play. We play checkers. They're playing three-dimensional chess. We think, 3 and 4 years ahead if we're lucky. We usually think tomorrow in our politics and our business. So our business is greedy. Oh yeah, we can do business with these guys. These guys have a huge market, and they seduce us in to arrangements with them that will consume us. So we should be very concerned for Taiwan. These are freedom-loving people. And this may be our last best chance, one of the last best chances we have to contain these guys from global expansionism. As long as these guys are here and free, their plans to jump around and take you and me are a little bit less than what they would like for them to be. So this is a very strategic asset in the global long-term development. Is our future freedom, or is it tyranny? And is that answered right here in this territory? The nation, the independent nation of the Republic of China, which predates the People's Republic of China, the insurgency that took the mainland. Now, the good thing is that these guys, King Chek was brilliant when he did leave China. They were fleeing for their lives. They went to Taiwan, the island of Formosa, because they knew it was going to be a hard island to invade. It's got very little coastline that's friendly for invasion. It's a pretty good size island, and it's very mountainous. It does not lend itself very well to invasion. And right now we're entering the season where the seas here are too choppy. As you know, there was this median between Taiwan and the Republic of China, People's Republic of China, excuse me, that the Air Forces used to not cross, but now these guys are saying that don't exist, and they're flying all around Taiwan. And it's getting these guys very unsettled. That has a lot of disadvantages for the people of the Republic of China, Taiwan, in that as these guys are flying around, these guys are having to conduct a lot of sorties, and they're spending like $2 billion over just the last many months meeting these aircraft from China. But what China's are also in collecting intel, so they're wearing down these guys, or eating up their budget. The aircraft that could be used for training and other purposes all now dedicated to sorties, so they're not training new airmen like they could with the assets they have. But worse yet, what I tell you that the first targets were when we went in over here or anywhere to Iraq or anywhere when we're going to hit them, we look at their air defense radars, their air defense systems. Their radar is the first thing that would be targeted. Well, when these guys are flying around, what's going to happen? These guys got to turn on their radars. That does a couple of things. It tells them what frequencies you're operating on. It tells you when you're going to turn them on. It tells them where they're at for their targeting purposes. And it also gives these guys ideas how to jam them. It tells them the response times of how long it takes for these guys to put their fighters in the air. They get a lot of intel from doing what they're doing. Intel, useful when you're planning to make an invasion. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking these guys don't want to hit these guys until after the election, because they don't really want to force to have keep an administration in Washington, D.C. that's somewhat less than totally friendly to them. They're expecting the Biden administration will just be totally friendly to them. So get far more than the Trump administration, as has been the history of these other administrations, and certain things that we expect from Biden. But now, in terms of being friendly to the People's Republic of China. Now, I'm just thinking the irony of the name People's Republic. The people, if they had their say, they might choose differently, but they're kind of under it now. So, what this does is it tells us that the sea states are about to get rough. If they're going to hit this right after the election, they're going to have to do it like immediately. And then they're going to be hard pressed to put forward a credible invasion. So I'm thinking that what they might do is start softening the targets up in Taiwan, harass them, run them down, and then start softening up the targets here with air assaults, missile assaults, whatever. They have just put DF-17 missiles, that's hypersonic missiles, I accidentally said that earlier, along the coastline here. They got amphibious vehicles are mounted, they're mounting troops. Xi Jinping had told his troops to be prepared for combat. He's been visiting the bases in this area, and he's been telling them that. And the rhetoric is just ratcheting it up daily, up and up and up. The actions, the rhetoric, it is just escalating and escalating and escalating. There's no de-escalation in this. It just keeps going up. That's the risk. That's the problem. That's why there's a real chance that something may happen here. And it is more, it's not because, well, these were our people, this is our land, we should take it. No, it's because of the military asset that it represents. And the fact that they'd be interested in that area is shown by what they're already doing down here. The fact that's important to them, that they feel like they need to do this, is really suggestive of long-term plans. Oh, as is, of course, they're already claiming territory all around them. So that tells you what their thought is. You know, they're trying to take Vladivostok. They're trying to take, all these passes and areas being contested between India and China along the line of actual control in the Ladakh area. They have border disputes with, like, I think it's, every country around them. They're hyper aggressive. They're trying to take more and more. And then they're cutting all kinds of deals and buying influence around the world, especially in all these routes and islands and places like that. They could do through trade what Japan tried to do through warfare. Japan took a lot of these islands in World War II, and we beat them back through there. But then Japan didn't have the infrastructure. They just had some, dirt airstrips. These guys are going in and building serious infrastructure in these places. And the Japanese did dig a lot of tunnels, but these guys were going to have fortified tunnels with concrete, probably. So, yeah, pay close attention. Pay very close attention. These guys are building up a world fortification system and expansion roads. All roads led to Rome, because that's how Rome moved its military. Now they're trying to set up where all roads and transportation systems lead to China, to Beijing. Imagine that. And when you think about how they treat their people, when the day comes, there's no world court of opinion. Once they have total hegemony over the world, nothing matters. Just what they want. You matter not. In fact, your problem then. I don't think that we will be in existence once they take total control, because they have no reason to have us. They don't want us, and they will dispatch us. They don't treat their own people well. So why do you think they're going to treat us well? And so for all you guys in all these countries that are cutting deals, you're selling your children and grandchildren into non-existence. If you're in any of these little countries or any of these other countries and you're cutting deals with belts and roads, you are paving the road for not being there. Africa, beware. Europeans were very bad to you. These guys will make them look like Sunday school teachers. They have little regard for human life, and their religion is the state. Their God is the state. They answer to the CCP, and whoever's ahead of it right now is Xi Jinping. And so we might see successive waves of this expansion over time. They'll expand a bit, the world gets mad at them, so they might calm down and play cool for a few years until we forget and get lured in by greed, and then they do it again and again and again and again, until suddenly they're so far along that nobody can resist them, and it's all theirs. So if we want to play Wilt Chamberlain, we can, at the expense of our children, most likely. I hope that's not the case. The greater hope is that these guys fall from within, because there's a lot of people within the system, even their own military, that don't like the CCP, because their own military is mistreated by the CCP. The PLA, the People's Liberation Army, don't even get a pension. Their pensions are covered by the local states within the People's Republic of China. So, and the pensions vary according to each state, and those states aren't the ones that hired them in the first place, so they don't have great incentive to really help these people out that's been serving the country. So when your military is not the most happy camper in town, well, maybe you created a problem, and there's more to it than that. When they had their conflict with India, their people that got planted were not honored like India honored theirs. I mean, they Beijing swept it under the rug and act like it didn't happen. So they're not even, you don't even know who they are. They didn't even get named, except for what should be Gold Star families, the equivalent of it in China. Well, they're somewhat less than totally happy about all that. So they're saying that their own people is expendable, and that's what I'm telling you. They don't treat their own people well, but they treat their people well, better than they treat Tibetans and Uyghurs and all the other Muslim populations. And Uyghurs aren't the only ones. And they're starting to treat the other Muslim populations in China and Christian populations and Falun Gong. They're all getting stepped on. Everybody but state worshiping Han. And if you're Han and you don't worship the state, if you don't worship Xi Jinping, they don't favor you at either. There's plenty of good Han people in here that don't want no part of that. The people of Hong Kong don't want any part of it. The people of Taiwan are willing to fight to the death to stay out of it. If this system is so great, why is that? They're closer to it than we are. Do you think maybe they know something that we don't know over here? You see what I'm saying? There may be something to it, my friends. There may be something to it. So that's it. It's Taiwan, maybe one of our last best hopes. And if we let this go, if we don't defend them, then we're going to lose face with a lot of our other allies in the region. But what's more, one thing that does paint more of the ambiguity is that our national security advisor told them, he said, we can't guarantee we can come in to help you. So the best thing you can do is make yourself like a porcupine, get as bristle as you can, so that you don't have to have, other defenses. He said, hey, lions seldom eat porcupines. So this has a good thing of getting us to maybe buy, let me stop this here. Maybe having them buy more of our missiles and weapon systems, that's good for the Republic of China, Taiwan, and good for us. But it also enforces that ambiguity thing. When he just become like a porcupine. So for those of you who don't know, the National Security Advisor who made that statement is Robert C. O'Brien. Robert C. O'Brien told the Taiwanese to look like a porcupine. And basically, you can't count on us. And he may be right, but if Taiwan falls to the Republic of China, the U.S. is going to lose face amongst all the other countries around there, and it will weaken the alliance. I'm not saying that we need to go in and I don't know what I'm saying here in terms of how we should respond. I'm not pro-war at all, but I am pro-defense, and here's the problem. I think we've got to face it. If you were in the days before WW2, there were a lot of people in the United States, including hang on, I'm getting brain lock right now. There were a lot of people in the United States that favored Nazi Germany. A lot of famous people that actually were fans of the Germans and Nazi Germany right up to the day, and some of them were American heroes. So it's easy to understand that, but at the same time, look what they were doing, and they had expansion plans, and they were starting to act on them. Look what they were doing with the Jewish people. Well, the same things are happening today in the People's Republic of China, times a few thousand, it seems like, way more, way bigger. And they are the industrial power of the planet. They are the nation's, world's, planet's factory. We won every war. We won by attrition, by outproducing the enemy. We do not outproduce them. We do not outpopulate them. They have natural resources. They have engineers. Yeah, this is the biggest challenge we have ever faced. And if you listen to Dr. Graham Allison, he talks about Thucydides' trap. Thucydides was the first historian, scientific historian, as we like to refer to him, who recorded the Peloponnesian Wars. And he talked about the tensions between the rising power of Athens and an entrenched power like Sparta. At that time, it went in Sparta's favor. The Spartans beat the Athenians, but over a long period of time, a lot of wars, the Peloponnesian Wars. But he analyzed that and described the dynamics of that, and it was part of just human nature. And Graham Allison went back to 1600 over the last 500 years and said, well, this has happened 16 times in that period, and out of these 16 times, 12 times resulted in a war, and the other 4 times, there were some close calls the other 4 times, but it was the case maybe the Pope divided the world between the Portuguese and Spain, like Solomon splitting the baby. And then there was a couple of times it was between the United States and Britain, and basically we were saving Britain's rear end. So, that doesn't, and a couple of times, or one time, it's also been within the community of the European Union. So you don't expect war to break out in those cases. The exception was the United States and Russia with the Cold War. But we did have a Cold War. It had hot pockets and not the food. And I submit that Russia never had economic oomph to have ever been a country that would have replaced us anyway. And so we just treated them through spending, and they didn't have but we came very close to war with Russia several times. We came so close to World War III on so many occasions. It is scary. So close, so close. But they never were the kind of power that really could have replaced us economically. China is surpassing us economically. They're having a speed bump right now on their way because of floods, because of disease, because of other nations waking up and pulling back. But if we don't contain them in some fashion, it may be containment like Nicole might work. If all the nations will work together, it might work. That would be our hope. If we can kind of just form enough people into a coalition and say, hey, ye shall not pass. Did a video by Tyler Eash, Global Gulag, ye shall not pass. I was also talking about more than just them. I was talking about a bigger gulag, about bigger, higher powers even. But if containment might possibly work, it'd be harder to do if they're building their sphere out further and further and cutting all these deals with so many countries, and if all these countries succumb to the greed of such a large economic powerhouse. It may be hard for some people that, wow, these guys are the future. They got the economy, they're producing things, and so there's going to be a lot of temptation. It's like the devil's handing out lollipops. That's China. Wow, that's a new term. I just to come up on the devil or the dragon. What they're going to say is passing out lollipops, and what's in them? What is in those lollipops? It tastes sweet when you eat them, but what's it going to be down the road? They're suckering you in with those big sucker sticks, the lollipops. So my friends, this is a great challenge. There are no easy answers. Nobody wants to see a WW3, but what I've proposed in my last video on this topic was that it may be face them now or face them later. At least now we're stronger than we will be then. If the whole world's gone, who's left? If we're the last one standing, we're gone. And we're talking about our existence. We're not talking about freedoms and shackles. We're talking far worse, far more ominous. This is the most ominous thing we've ever faced, outside of the devil himself, or invasion by space invaders. You know, little games in the 70s, little things clicking down the screen, right? No, my friends, this is serious. We are in a pickle. And it may manifest itself early on with something like an EMP strike in the United States. We lose our power grid. It may be through hacking. I just did a video asking, the question, have we been targeted to be hacked? There are some people that were saying that we are targeted to be hacked by China and by Iran. That's been claimed. That assertion's been made. If China wanted to move on Taiwan, they might take down our grid first. But then they probably want to do it in such a way that somebody else could be blamed for it, or they would have strong, plausible deniability. That would fit easily in the vision that Stacy Safiki had of 2 launches coming off the coast of Venezuela to the middle of the United States and the East Coast, where most of our power grid and our nuke plants are, sparing the West for their physical invasion, of course. Yikes. Unlike Taiwan, our West Coast has got all kind of nice beaches. And I did a video on how they could sneak up in cargo container ships. Yikes, my friends. Yeah, I hope these things don't come to pass. But I did do another video where I talked about the universe in a solo cup, the power of prayer. And I'm going to say this, prayer is a strong thing. Prayer works. It's time to start praying in earnest. This may be our last best means of defense. And maybe the thing we pray for is that the people within China get tired of having the boot of tyranny on their neck and they seek freedom. I mean, they're not getting the kind of bargain they're told they would have with a communist country where the government will blow levies and dams and flood the people without announcing it to them, because they don't want to have to be liable for insurance claims. Because now it's an act of God, even though, because you didn't know when it was coming. Wow. You know, don't you think the people there in that country see this? Don't you think they understand it? Don't you think they know this? I've been hearing reports from people there who are very unhappy. And you know, and it's like in animal farms, some animals are more equal than others. Isn't that the proposition supposed to come as everybody would be equal, be a classless system, from each according to his ability to each according to his need? Is that what you see there? Not at all. Looks more like Germany. Germany in the 1930s. China is like Germany in the 1930s on steroids. They're far more powerful, far smarter, far more inroads, far more production capacity, better position, landlocked. Oh my gosh, they are in so much better shape, so much better shape. That's why we got to be concerned. Put your faith in a greater creator, but you still have a soul. You may take your body, but you still have a soul. But pray, because how this all turns out, it hasn't been determined fully yet, because you are commanded to pray according to most faiths. I'm not choosing a faith here. I'm not pushing a faith. I'm just telling you, in fact, even if you're atheist, meditation and prayer has effects. It does for all faiths. So I'm not promoting any faith. That's not the purpose of this channel. It's not my purpose here. I might on some other platform, some way down the road, but that's not anything to do with Green Graves. I'm here doing this video to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, because there's so much stuff's coming at us. And to fulfill my proposition of this channel, to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That is what we're about on this channel. All right, I ran long. I ran very long here. But I wanted you to understand there's more to it than just this obsession possession that I've talked about. Oh, well, that's a big part. That's a big part. People are afflicted with this all over the world and ate up with it. Just ate up with it. You're mine, my precious, you're mine. That is sick, and it's real. But it's bigger than that in this case. It's far bigger. It's a huge military asset. Right now, Taiwan is the chink in the armor of China. Taiwan is China's chink in their armor. And they don't want any part of the People's Republic of China. They are China. Maybe one day the Republic of China will once again fly its flag over the mainland. That would be a nice dream. And everyone can live in a democratic elected Republic of China. And they would, I will assure you, have an economy that would be even stronger than the People's Republic of China. The people would be more prosperous, and our whole planet would be more prosperous. And they wouldn't be coming at us with a point of something. You know, I think they would be a lot better to deal with. And we can enjoy the prosperity globally of the things that they could come up with. It would be a far better world, far better for us and for them too. So that is a good thing to hope for. And maybe this word can trickle into China and people there can start thinking about it. I don't know how you get it there. They're so controlled with their media. China's developing the hive, my friends. They've got a social credit system already. They are slipping down into the hive real fast. Well, they're going to love to get hold of some neural lace there. So, my friends, like I said, I've gone long, but this is important. It covers a lot of ground. Pray. If you can help the people of Taiwan in any way, do it. What else can you do? Vote with your dollar. Taiwan sells things. Don't buy from China. Don't buy globally. Buy locally. That's what you should be doing anyway. It's better for the environment. It's better for the world. Better for your neighbors. Better for your community. Support your neighbors. Support the small shops. Excuse me, not the bigger companies that try to use City Hall to run the small mom and pop out of business. Kill the mom and pop. Kill the little individual artisans, the individual craftsmen, the individual tradesmen, the plumbers, the electricians. Don't go to the big companies. Go to the small guys. Help them out as much as you can. Whoever's left in that field and area. They generally work much cheaper. They're generally far more knowledgeable. They will give you a safer, better product in most cases than the big companies. They have passed a zillion certification tests to pass these guys. Because these guys, the bigger ones, hire a bunch of kids. They pass all the tests collectively, and they hire a bunch of little kids to run around and do the work. Well, the kids got to get started somewhere, but then they're always in the system. All this is to drive people out of being independent. All this is done to ensure that you don't have sovereign individuals. They don't want small farmers. They don't want anybody to be working for themselves. They want everybody to be subservient to the system, to the state, just like the People's Republic of China. That seems to be the general trend in this world. Well, let's buck it. Let's buck it here first. And then we can hopefully inspire the people there. And, you know, maybe if we contain them for a while, then the people there will have time to wake up to it. Contain them out. Don't trade with them. Get other nations not to cut these deals. If you're in some of these other nations, I get people watching some other world, spread the word. Talk to people that say, you know, do you really want to cut a deal with these guys? Do you see where this is going? This is all based on trends, people. It's based on trends. Look at the trends. Look at what they're doing. And ask yourself, why are they doing these things? And I hope I'm wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of, Greg, you're wrong. Well, I hope you're right. I honestly do. Because this is not a future I want. I would love nothing better than not have to worry about anything other than going to a river and going fishing. Raising some worms for somebody else to go fishing. That's what I like to do. Raise worms to sell to fishermen. So they can go happy-go-lucky and go fish, or put in their garden so you can grow better food, better, cleaner food. That's what I like. And I got some grand ideas for future homes and habitats that'll blow your socks off. You're going to see these on galactic grids. I've shown a little bit here, and some of it come back here, but I'm working up a video for galactic grids on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I ran very long here, and it's running late. I hope I can get this up tonight. It's the 19th. It may be the 24th and get this posted because it takes forever for these things to upload sometimes. But so I'll know you watched it this far, so answer this to Greg. I agree. We need to pray. The power of prayer is awesome. And and to that, I see your point. I dropped my point. That point of mine. Why don't I make it to silent hunting? In any event, my friends, I'm going to say this now. Look, we've not gone an hour. You can see the power. I did turn this just before we started, but we're close. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching.